viewers, welcome to the Science Demystifiers Academic channel. In today's video, I will be taking you through salt analysis for Neco 2025 chemistry practicals. In this video, I will be showing you the likely questions to expect in this forthcoming practical examination. So without wasting much of your time, let us look at the specimens that were provided for this year's salt analysis. Now, one of the specimens is lead nitrate, and the second specimen is potassium trioxosulfate 4. So based on these two salts, you will be asked, first of all, to dissolve them in water. That's test for solubility, to know the solubility of these two salts. So if you look at this salt, this is lead nitrate and this is potassium sulfate. So these two salts are soluble in water. So there will be no question like residue and filtrate. No. Because the two salts are soluble salts. So when you add water, they will tell you add 10 cm cube of water to the salt sample. Obviously, what you're going to observe will be a soluble salt. So there's nothing like C partially dissolved in water or C was insoluble in water. It's going to dissolve completely. Now, based on the salts that we have here, the cations that will be tested for will be lead ion and potassium ion. That's for cations. Lead ion and potassium ion. And then for the anions, we're going to be testing for the triazonitrate 5 ion, and then we're going to be testing for the trioxosulfate 6 ion. So I'm going to give you the table containing all the tests, observations, and inferences you are going to see, or you're going to expect in this salt analysis. So in a short while, you will see the likely observations that's expected so that you'll be properly guided, and then the accurate inferences you're going to make regarding those observations. Now, let's look at the cations. The cations we're testing for are lead ion and potassium ion. Now, for lead ion, we all know the test for lead 2 ion. The test for lead 2 ion can either go with test with sodium hydroxide, aqueous ammonia, and potassium iodide. Sodium hydroxide, aqueous ammonia, and potassium iodide. With potassium iodide being the one that gives a yellow precipitate. Now, there are other ways to confirm the presence of lead, and that is adding hydrochloric acid and warming the solution. If it produces a precipitate that reappears on cooling and disappears on heating. So that is less a possible test for lead 2 ion. So you're going to study around the cations, trioxonitrate 5 ion, and then trioxosulfate 4 ion. So a tentative table, observation table, will be posted shortly for you to see the test. Now remember that this is Neco examination, so they might likely give you the table with the test already given. That's the test to be carried out. Then you as a student will now be the one to write down your observation and the inferences. So I will give you a template to work with. That is the likely observations you're going to state and the inference and the accurate inferences you're going to make regarding those observations. This is a sample table containing the likely questions to expect in this year's Neco chemistry practicals salt analysis. As usual, the table will be given in the question paper, unlike WAEC, where the students are made to draw the table but for Neco, the table will be given with the test column filled. Then the students will be asked to fill in the observations and the corresponding inferences. So here is a template that will serve as a guide, and it contains the likely questions to expect in this forthcoming practical examination. The first test will be to add sample C to 10 cm cube, to add 10 cm cube of distilled water to sample C, and you'll be asked to stir vigorously. C being a soluble compound, C is a soluble compound, so it's going to dissolve completely. And then the possible inference you're going to write for that will be soluble compound present. Soluble compound present. So the solution of C will be divided into 2 portions. Sorry, I said 4 portions here, but it's 2 portions. So to the first portion, you will be asked to add HCl, hydrochloric acid, and then the resulting solution you are to warm gently. Now this is the possible test for lead 2 ion, because once you add HCl to the solution containing lead 2 ion, you will get a white precipitate which appears on cooling and disappears on heating. So once you see that, the possible ion to suspect is lead 2 ion. Now the third test here will be to add potassium iodide to the resulting solution obtained from the first step. So when you add potassium iodide to the resulting solution, the observation will be yellow precipitate. Remember, one of the ways to confirm the presence of lead 2 ion is to add potassium iodide to any solution that contains lead 2 ion. A yellow precipitate will be seen once the potassium iodide is added to the solution. So that is the confirmatory test for lead 2 ion. So under the inference, you can write Pb2 plus confirmed. Then the next test will be to add to the second portion freshly prepared iron 2 sulfate, followed by conc H2SO4. So this is the popular brown ring test. So this is also another test to expect in this year's salt test, the brown ring test. So when you add freshly prepared iron 2 sulfate to the test sample with the test tube held in a slanted position, and then gently adding H2SO4, conc H2SO4 to this reaction mixture, a brown ring will be observed between the 2 liquid layers. The brown ring will be observed at the interface between the 2 liquid layers. Then once you see that, it is the confirmatory test for trioxynitrate 5 ion. So your inference will be NO3 confirmed. Now the next stage of the sample is the one that will be carried out with sample D. So sample D is another compound, another salt. You'll be asked to add 5 cm cube of distilled water to it. It is also a soluble salt, so it will dissolve completely on addition of water, and your inference will be soluble compound present. So the resulting solution from that will be divided into 2 portions, and then to the first portion you will be asked to add you'll be asked to dip wire into, you'll be asked to add dip a wire loop into the solution and place the wire on the base close to the edge of a Bunsen burner flame. If a linear color flame is observed or formed, then potassium ion is present. It is a confirmatory test for that's flame test for potassium ion. Then to the second solution, you will be asked to add barium chloride. That's the test for trioxosulfate 4 ion. You'll be asked to add barium chloride, and when you do that, a white precipitate will be formed. And you will be asked to then add excess dilute hydrochloric acid to the precipitate that was formed previously. If the precipitate dissolves, then trioxosulfate 4 ion, which is SO3 2 minus, is present. So remember, when you add barium chloride to the test solution and the white precipitate is formed, there are three possible anions or negative ions to be suspected. That is CO3 2 minus, SO4 2 minus, and SO3 2 minus. So, but when you add HCl in excess and the PPT dissolves, it is SO3 2 minus that is likely present in the solution. Okay, that's the much we can take on today's salt analysis. So if you're a returning subscriber, please comment, like, and share this video. And if you are a new this is the first time you are watching me live here on this channel, please do not hesitate to hit the subscribe button. You can also turn on the notification bell for updates. So thanks for watching. God bless you.